All right, we're live. I thought the thumbnail would be all you'd see. Like I said, I'm not exactly the top-notch YouTube user yet, but we're getting there, and the channel's getting a little growth. And what's more important, our people are engaging a little bit in the chats, and comments will always be open. And just want to say, afternoon, according to the dial, 8/2/2020, 8/2/2020, and a little bit of a lengthy description, but what you're looking at there, you can look up the case numbers, you can look up the and even talk to some of the researchers that are still out there that will talk to you about it. But really, how disturbing it was to watch the outcome of what happened there with Rod Class, a Supreme Court case where it said that a Justice Roberts came in and pretty much threw the hammer down, and it's my cage or my way. And that's really what you have going on around the country in these so-called court systems. But I'll tell you, there are some very confusing messages going on with this birth certificate. And you got Russell J. Gould, who's making some very bold claims. It just, I don't care how you feel about him. I'm I'm not here to look at personalities. You know, I don't like the way he waves his hands when he talks. But are you listening to what he says? The birth certificate system was ended in 1999. Can anybody answer for the information that's been taken via every baby born since 1999? Listen, I'm gonna give a very simple remedy that has been overlooked. That is the fix-all for all fix, and it doesn't require a shot to be fired. An overnight fix that should have overwhelming support of the American people. And if you get pushback, you'll know who your real enemy is. And I'm going to reveal that here in just a moment. Many of us have been doing a lot of research for a long time. And you know, it's troubling to have this much knowledge and there's no way to implement it, to truly implement it. You know, I want to talk about the status correction for a moment before I get to the real remedy of it all. And it's so simple, people. It is so simple. Someone's been trying to get this done from what I've researched. And when I tell you about this, you're going to go, what? No. And it's like many of the people that network with me, they know I've done live feeds on Facebook that are still up that show exactly where things went wrong and exactly why the remedy was dealt with by Schumer and Pelosi are the big names that come up, folks. Schumer and Pelosi. I don't get to choose the names that come up. I don't get to choose the people who are in charge of making sure that that remedy never became a reality for the American people. And I'll give you a hint here. A country without a language is a country without a soul. A country without a language is a country without a soul. I mean, the whole journey, the whole idea of a conspiracy is to overshadow the subject matter either being true or a lie. You know, it's the old truth versus lies. Right now, we have a system that's set up on this premise that we're declared dead when we're born. You know, I have rubbed virtual elbows with many, many researchers. And it's always the birth certificate that's the fix-all. You have to deal more with the certificate that they told you is declaring you dead when you're actually alive. When they're placing a value on you through private elite bankers, this system came into play by the Federal Reserve. There's nothing American about it. There's nothing American about the language. If you want to talk about legalese, right? You hear politicians say, I don't want to hear that legalese shit. I've heard them. Even they, I don't want to hear that legalese stuff. I want it straight up. So that means that the very language that they're using in the courts, it's not straight up. They don't want to hear it in their house meetings and their political talking puppet shows where they all berate each other and then nothing changes. Nothing for the American people anyway. You know, and this was my argument to the status correctors. I'm sorry, but you're going to be so outnumbered by the ignorant people that all they have to do is go on the media and tell these people that think their status is corrected are sovereign citizens. Oh, that's right. They already are doing that. Do you know how dangerous it is to be, I'm status corrected. I'm a state national. I'm an American national. That's statist pride. I don't care how you cut it. You're having pride in the state, de jure or de facto. Unless you work for the government that was supposed to operate under some strict limitations or else, which we lost touch of. It's completely gone. But we've been attacked over the last 100 years without resistance. And you know, there has been some resistance, you know. Black Wall Street was a prime example of the Federal Reserve not tolerating anybody having their own financial independence in a community or in the world. This birth certificate is turning into the digital IDs and the real IDs and the total control apparatus that's at hand right now. It's here. It's already in place. It's already in operation. You know, fusion centers. If you've never heard of a fusion center, shame on you. Do you know how hard it was to talk about something to people, about something that fusion centers, what's that? Before they even admitted they have the fusion centers, and then you have their own people coming out whistleblowing saying they're building basically a file on every American. And if you don't think you state national folks are huge targets, as you've taken your live certificate of birth and authenticate and sent more information, I'm sorry, but in my humble opinion, The government never had any business having any of our information unless we were doing business with them. Wait a minute, that's supposed to just be a government. They're just supposed to be protecting the rights of the people. Putting fair arbitrators in. The Solomons of our time, let's cut the baby in half. Wait till I tell you the remedy. Just hold on to your seats and invite some more people in here. When I show you this, if you can argue it, and I just posted it. What was it, yesterday? And bam! As soon as I posted it again, as soon as I put the reminder up, check this out, people. I'm going to show you something. What is the official language of the United States according to the Constitution? All right. Let's not even worry about the Constitution. What is the official language of the United States? Well, I'm here to tell you right now, the United States has no official language. But almost every session of Congress, an amendment to the Constitution is proposed in Congress to adopt English. And in my research, I found that Pelosi and Schumer said that that was racist. They played the race card on the language protection. For you that are knowledgeable of the foreign intrusion of the dog Latin of the foreign legalese language that's in the contracts, what happened here? And Pelosi and Schumer, they created what's called a unifying language, a unified language, instead of official, and protected the foreign contracts. Pelosi and Schumer, by side skipping, and let me tell you how this proposal read. English, de jure and de facto. That's like, rarely do you read the corporate, in any corporate language at all, is going to be saying, hey, we got a de jure and a de facto. But that right there ends it. It's over. All the foreign agents are out of business. You know how big that is, right? I don't know how many people can expose the Bar Association, which is a private membership association. There is no license to practice law. They can't produce one because there is no license. They'll show you a bar card and try to pass that off, but that's just a membership card. You know, this is the type of information that's out there that people are researching. I want you to realize this, you know, this is a truth that people are seeing in research off the congressional record about what's going on here. But Schumer and Pelosi have committed the biggest treason against the American people, and nobody even realizes it. Here we'll go again. We're going to try again. I'm broadcasting on 3 platforms right now: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm here to tell you, America, right there. What could be more American than the English language? Does that mean that we won't still have the bilingual America that we've always had? Absolutely not. Does that mean the instructions will only come in English? Absolutely not. But does that mean the contracts will have to be in English? Absolutely. And let me tell you, this proposal needs to be supported right now at this election moment. No, do you support English as the official language? Not unifying. Unifying was the trick. Pelosi and Schumer did this. Look it up. And anyone that went along with them. They were the main demon rats that killed this adoption that would have protected the American people from the foreclosures and the unlawful admiralty courts and this onslaught of police violence and this violence through the agencies of these corporations that are eyeballing every American as a target for a SESKK trust. Via what? That evil little birth certificate. Look, social insurance is what it was originally called. Is again a creation of the Federal Reserve System. Need a little coffee in my mouth here. Pelosi and Schumer have committed this treason. And trying to get, listen, state assemblies, family law. I don't care what avenue of exposing corruption you're involved in. If what I'm showing you, and it was specified that English would have to be the official language of the contracts of the de jure and the de facto. You get it, people? Everything that's going on right now, as we can see it, is being done by foreign interest outside of this country. You think they really care about our community? Yeah, the shock to the world that we're still doing business with China because of what I just heard the other day about the dam. They opened the floodgates on the people that were asleep in bed. You know, the dam was falling apart. They said that goes, and then there goes most of their food crops or something. You know, something disastrous, of course. But the whole idea that they're over there with this human mining system in the AI, you know, why would we want any American supposed political leaders to want to hoist that type of technology upon the American people, which is already done in a lot of ways, because of the cooperation with the corporations such as Walmart and Targets, and the only corporations that will survive the New World disorder. I mean, you can look it up with the United Nations real quick, like. And you'll see that stated. The only corporations that will be able to survive under the daddy corporation of all corporations, the only corporation in the world. Who is that? The Vatican. Claim to own the whole enchilada. They own you. They own your children. They own the dirt under your feet. They own the flesh, the blood, and the bone. I mean, that's pretty much the message here. If you ask me, this total control thing, we let that go on for so long via the paper world, the birth certificate. Once the computers got a hold of it, I mean, are you folks realizing that the software that was created, Microsoft, Bill Gates, the software that was created for government computers would only recognize the all caps name? Hagen Smith had a massive heart attack in the tax office of Billy Smith, Marion County, Florida. What was he doing? He was bringing it to him on the all caps name. That's not my name. You need to show my name on the computer. and he was serving them on liability before this massive heart attack. Oh, and the massive heart attack took place in the tax office, sitting right in front of Billy Smith, with a paramedic sitting next to him that was not able to, not able to save him. Many people have heard of Hagen Smith, but that was quite a bit of service to Billy back and forth and exposing what it is about the all caps name. And Billy Smith became very nervous, very nervous. You know, the witnesses said his pen was shaking in his hand because he was realizing how I'm kind of caught here, my hand in the cookie jar, and in having your property labeled as residential or however commercial they have it done, but it's the all cap name that puts you in there. You know, he had used gold to buy property, and he had the only consideration in the whole deal. Sneaky dude. If you don't accept it, then you're not accepting payment. Accept my piece of gold in this deal. This birth certificate's a really big deal, and it's all going digital now. That's where it's at. You know, that big question of what's the foundational law that underpins the current judicial system of the United States? It seems to be Title 50 in the Trading with the Enemy Act, that all intercourse of all species is illegal, and that no remedy will be found within the courts because contracts won't be recognized. They might be the illusion of some recognition, or wait a minute, we're seeing that really, at the end of the day, I don't care how many liens you get, most of the people that I've seen get liens end up in federal prison. Randall Dew, federal prison. Bruce Ducetti, federal prison. All being led to a slaughter, trying to fight through a maze that should have never been. I'll wait for one person to come on the comment section somewhere, I don't care, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and please justify to me how any of this hocus pocus, voodoo, you're dead baloney ever had any justification to ever exist in the lives of the free people in America. There was a coup. There was a coup by private bankers, and they took over the country a long, long time ago. You know, I like to say, I listen to much more complex minds in the financial system, in the financial world, and the opinions are all the same. And the Federal Reserve System has ruined the American way of life. This whole COVID thing has to be okay, buddy. I guess you wanted to be in the picture. This whole COVID thing, you know, more questions than answers. Nobody has a straight answer. That's really what it turns into. Just as long as we're all caught up in chaos and confusion, but here it goes. You know, I made a post that asked people, you know, how many status corrections does it take to be immune from the sheeple that are out there attacking people over wearing a mask? I mean, we got a death count on this already. In America, we have Americans killing each other over a mask, and the whole time in the background, the financial system is taking over the world, taking total and absolute, complete and utter control of everything. Your life, your car, your conversations. Your conversations are captured in your car, and they can't even tell you where the conversation is being sent to. All you OnStar people, oh, it's so great. Yeah. Let me say this again. Do your research. That conversation is being sent somewhere, and now, well, the auto industry had we really don't know, or we can't tell you where the conversation's going. When you're being monitored in your car all the time, did you buy your car with that feature in mind, that somebody would be listening to your conversations? You wouldn't know who it was? You know, I don't know how people could be comfortable with that. I mean, just look it up. You know, I research and research and research. You know, when I stumbled across this English language, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And then who are the players? Pelosi and Schumer. Look it up, people. Look it up. Look up official language. Look this up. Research it. Start tearing it up. And you're going to find out, wow, I accidentally kind of stumbled upon, because it's a progression of steps as research. And, you know, you know, everybody's all bent this way and that way about Google or YouTube or Facebook or any of these internet deals. I just, here we are. We're on Twitter. Here we are. We're on YouTube. Here we are. We're on Facebook. And this is the same message I send, because it is the only message the American people need to hear. I mean, I've approached political heads and they say the American people are not ready to know that yet. Huh? Wait a minute, what? Yeah. The American people are not ready to know that they're enslaved by the birth certificate. They're not ready. Maybe you need to listen to this again. This guy doing videos on JFK. Huh? Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public facts they deserve to know. We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I'm not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, where I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be.
Free and independent.
Good night.
Well, this guy, Russell J. Gould here, guys, said the birth certificates ended in 99. I don't know what to tell you. He's not in a nut house, and I enjoy listening to the things he has to say. In his last message to Robert David Steele, oh, he's another shill. Listen, he said it right. I can't tell you, this guy's on a whole nother level. I wish I could sit in a room with him and talk to him. I wish I could just hang out with him. In that respect, that if the birth certificates ended in 99, folks, and he's correct about what he's saying, and they can't rebut it, and they can't shut that message down. Look, Sergeant Horton, who worked with him, pointed out the birth certificates being like the biggest mass psychological operations ever to be hoisted on the American people. That's how big a deal the birth certificate is. And anybody talking it down, they want other people to continue to be slaves, economic slaves, under a control system that they never knew they were signing up to. I mean, look at where we're at right now, folks. Every phone call, this transmission, this message right here is being recorded by someone else. Listened to by who? What do you really have going on in the background? This guy's claims stand unrebutted for years now. For years. So you don't get to say anything other than to then go at him, shut him down. Prove he didn't capture the flag. Prove this guy is not the commander-in-chief over the new quantum postal service that he created. Prove these things. Don't just spout off at the comment mouth. I take it in, and then I come out here and I relay to you what's going on. Then you got Unvarnished over here with, no, you got to get your birth certificates that this guy says ended in 99. And he's saying, well, I don't know how she's doing it. She can't apply any value to it. See, Robert Davis Steele sits there and he's just like, bless his heart. But me, I've been following and I network with these people. Other than this guy here, I haven't been able to get a hold of him. And boy, what a conversation it probably would turn into. But he said it flat out, people, on Robert Davis Steele's show there, his little broadcast he does. It wasn't registered firearms that founded this country. That's a heck of a message coming from the true commander-in-chief. I mean, this guy is claiming to be sitting down with people of, that worldly people think are of great importance when they're really not. They're really not. You've had so many imposters for so long, and people are brought up in this. Well, I thought that was no. And it's hard to make ends of the human trafficking, because you would think with the kind of people, I mean, there's nothing to say. They have all the information. They could go after every one of them today. But they're more interested in arresting you for not wearing a mask in compliance with the dictatorship that's going on. And let me tell you something, folks, all those orders are all hoisted through the office of person, the birth certificate, all caps name that you carry around in your wallet because you're forced to, not because you want to. And all you corrected people will never outnumber all of the people that have no clue, that will do whatever the media box tells you. What was Kennedy telling us? The newspapers and the news, and how important it was that the media is a protected deal. It doesn't become a propaganda machine. And what do we have? They have bought out the media. And, I don't know how that just slides by the supposed FCC, but how the American people, I mean, you walk in a room and people are watching this, and they're like in an absolute trance, especially the elderly. And they got that thing blasting because they're hard of hearing, and it's just chaos, and you can't even get their attention. They don't even know you're there. Call it programming for a reason. But yeah, there you go. There's your simple answer. Officialize the language. You get rid of all the foreign garbage that's overtaken us. And they're all out of business. The Bar Association and their legalese, they're out of business, folks. And that the Bar Association is the one hoisting all the little rules upon you. Who's running the courts? Are they all bar associates or not? Show me a non-bar associate that's in there in these admiralty. Yeah, they're not there, are they? There are no counselors. There's no learned at law. None of that matters. None of your status correction matters. You're going to be outnumbered by the sheeple of all sheeple. And if you don't have your mask, if you're not complying with the mask, obviously they're willing to kill each other over this at this point. That's harsh. But that's what's going on, as we witnessed. People attacking each other over a mask. But they're not concerned with the fact that the all caps name that has them enslaved has them receiving the orders about the mask from the very corporate medias that have all been bought and paid for and owned, and in their mass media brainwashing, over repetitive storytelling rather than news. This is news, River of Life news, right here. Because sometimes it's smooth down the river and sometimes you hit rapids. Sometimes you get thrown out of the boat. You got to get back in. That's River of Life news, because we realize this. We realize that the message is too important to give up on. This one right here is so simple. I can't. Bam, done. No more legalese. No more admiralty courts. Nope. It's over. You put these people to bed, and obviously somebody knows this, because almost every session of Congress, an amendment to the Constitution is proposed Congress to adopt English, and I'll say it again, Pelosi and Schumer were the two leads on It's Racist, create a unifying language so that way they protected the Bar Association and the lawyers in the corrupt courts and the whole corrupt system that's running off birth certificates that supposedly have no value. Where's the money coming from? It always came from the Federal Reserve System. So that means the Federal Reserve has to be bypassing the QSIP security system that we think they operate with in the background of the courthouses, with the bid bonds, performance bonds, payment bonds. You know, all the bonds and security creatings off the IRS books. They don't report any of the court cases to the IRS. These courts are all operating in mass fraud. They're all operating in enticing people into the use of a legal name, or forcing people into the use of a legal name, the all caps name that you'll see all over the jail bracelets, you'll see all over the court documents, that you'll see the unlawful conversion if you put your proper name into the computer. And then next thing, what you get the all caps name showing up. You see the all caps, you're being defrauded by the foreign government that doesn't want your English protecting you. I rest my case, people. I love you all. I got to get off here now. And we will talk again soon. Hey, guys. John, what's up? Daryl, Robin, I got to go. You hear my door, right? I got to go. I'll be back on in a little bit. Try to chew on that a little bit. All you National Assemblies, man, where's the English language? I'd like to know.